party.
So this thing has to come up. We're gonna get into this septic tank. There's the snake. Gonna get it out, figure out how to plug it in. It's about 11 o'clock at night right now. Gonna snake it down this clear out. Yeah, we're gonna need to get them gloves on because it's kind of stinky. Plug it in. You kind of have to loosen this auger end up and then pull it out piece by piece. And then put it down in there. I figured it out. You have to pull, like, you literally pull the cable out of the gun, push it down, and then run the gun. Pull out some, push it down, run the gun. I just keep doing that until I get to the end of the pipe or the end of the snake. See, it'll run a little bit, but you have to keep it close to the hole. Pull a length out, push it in, and run the gun. So this was a good like 13 minutes of me doing this. I've clipped it down. It was very stinky. There were some peas and some corn. Kept doing it until I got to the end of the cable and see I'm pushing up against something, and so that's when I spin it. But if you got too much hanging out in the air, it'll grab. You see how it starts to twist up? Yeah, so I figured out I had to run it close to the hole after I got it twisted a couple times. Shove it down in there. Yep. Kept getting twisted. Took me a while to figure this out. But it was running. It was going down. Yep. They cleared a little bit there, and I run it again. And hold on to it too. Yeah, and see, it'll pull itself into the pipe too as it spins, obviously. I think I was getting to the end of the snake at this point. I was breaking through stuff, but the water wasn't flowing yet. And the water doesn't end up flowing until tomorrow when we flush the toilet. Yeah, so here's where I figured out I'm pretty much at the end of the cable here. And just need to get it spinning correctly. Until all of it goes in. Because it definitely can run the whole length of this pipe before it even gets to the septic tank. So here's feeding it back. This is how it goes back into the gun. It's basically shoving it back in. Yeah. Running it close to the top of the pipe is what keeps it from twisting up. Keep on feeding it. So it's definitely hitting something there. So I needed to tighten up the slack and make sure the gun was right towards the opening. So that it wouldn't twist up again. Get it close as possible was the best tactic. Yeah, right up against the blockage, make sure it's tight. I wanted it to run a little bit, that's why I kept a little bit of slack, thinking it'd break through and then it would run. Oh yeah. That's the flow right there. Taking some slack out so I can get the tip of that gun right at the top of that pipe. And then run it. And then it pulled right along. This was the toughest part of the whole day. Got it over with at night. Yep. Running it now. I was almost to the end of the cable, I'm sure, by this point. Wondering why it wasn't flowing. Shoving that buddy down in there, trying to get as long length as I can. All the way to the septic tank, hopefully. I don't know, maybe it's like 35 feet, 30 feet. Snake's only 25. So here's me pulling it all the way back out. And untwisting it the length of the pipe to the tank. trying to see how far it was actually gonna reach after I'd run it through the pipe, and it didn't seem to clear anything. So at this point, I'm laying down the snake to see how far down the pipe I got. Looked like there was 3 or 4 feet left.
I guess I didn't quite get to the end of the pipe. That's possibly a little bit more. So that means that.
And we'll figure it out in the morning. Alright, next day, assessing the damage. Pulling this thing back in. I figured you kind of have to shove it actually to get it in. Length by length, it does not automatically telescope back in. So this is a nice, dirty little process of shoving a stinky wet snake back into the hole. You know, so tedious. Takes a couple minutes. But at this point, I think the water level was down on the pipe. We had flushed a toilet. But I still was not convinced that the pipe to the septic tank was completely clear yet. So it was time to pop the top on the septic tank lid, see what was in there, if I needed to snake it from the other end or not, was what I needed to figure out. Alright, so the pipe water was gone. I had at least cleared a hole a little bit to get the water flowing. It was time to do the heavy work.
Ladies first. You see a chain? There's a rope. Probably need more like a chain or a strap. Oh yeah! There you go. Business time. Come on.
This was the first turn on of the tractor that you're seeing on the video here. I turned it until it had started, so I had no problem starting. That was the first turn, just a couple cranks, really.
Look at that.
Oh, you have to back up Do you know what's in there?
No, yeah, I know what's in here. Do you know what's in here? over it.
Alright, so I had the chain on the bucket. And I had to pull over the top of the lid a little bit forward here. That's what I was doing to make sure the bucket was over the lid that was chained up. And then lift the bucket. There you go. You can see the bucket lifting a little bit. It did tinch up and then popped up. Right there.
We popped
The septic tank lid, that was it popping up right there. Because it was stuck pretty good. I don't know that I would have gotten it with a pipe or leverage.
Yummy. We found a treasure chest. Come on.
So you can see that I'm trying to clear off a little bit of this black concrete piece is where the blue pipe comes in. The blue pipe from the house drops into this concrete square.
Okay.
And the toilet flushed.
I gotta be a little creative.
And so I decided to run it again down the pipe to get it completely flowing. And it ran smoothly. You see I'm feeding almost all of it all the way to the end.
Looks like it's clear, guys.
Yeah, and it ran all the way in. So that was the end of the snake. So, and I'm pulling the snake out at this point to show you how far it actually went compared to the length of the pipe, right? Put the gun at one side and see that it actually stopped. How much pipe was left. You know, so it was 4 feet short, 5 feet short.
Probably should go down from this direction too, eh?
So
Stick.
I took the stick and actually poked all of it out of the way at this point, and it actually cleared right in front of this pipe, not around down there. See, it's all water down there, you know, in the open pit, but right here at this black pipe is where I poked really hard. I got on the phone with you at this point, and look, I pushed right at the front of this pipe, and look, it's flowing. So it flowed right there. There was just maybe something at the end that I'd pushed through with the snake. And that's where the solids drop down to the bottom, right? It's in this little square, right? So, and then grab a piece of water hose. And shove it down there. And then the water really gets flowing.
Go do it again.
So hose down in the pipe.
Flowing like a river. The poop river is flowing.
So at this point I was on the phone with you guys, explaining it to you and showing you how
But I'm hitting the bottom
completely water in there.
But there
There's
ain't no roots in here, and I'm hitting the bottom of the concrete. Yeah, that's right.
And poking it to make sure it was clear. The hose was still flowing at this point, and flowing just fine. Never had a problem since.
All right, we're good. I'll let you know how that goes.
Cleaning it off a little bit. Much needed. Yeah, the lid was probably 45 pounds. It dropped back on the right way. Perfect.
Yeah.
And then it was just cleaning up the snake, shoving it back in the hole manually. Basically winds it up inside the cavity of it. Yeah, pretty tedious. Glad you got to see this process. And shoving it back in the box, and I did take it and leave it in the barn in case we need to use it again. Hopefully we don't.